Good day from the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. You're looking live at the Site-1 launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, half a world away, as a Soyuz booster, carefully inspected, meticulously prepared for this launch, sits poised with the ISS Progress 45 resupply craft atop as they stand by for launch just 10 minutes and 45 seconds from now to carry 2.9 tons of food, fuel, and supplies to the residents of the International Space Station. This is the first launch of this Soyuz booster since the accident that occurred back on August 24th, resulting in the loss of the Progress 44 resupply craft, an accident caused by a commanded shutdown of the third stage engine of this Soyuz booster. Some 5 minutes and 20 seconds after launch, shortly after the third stage was ignited, the Russian State Commission was formed and conducted a thorough analysis, inviting NASA to audit that analysis and participate fully in the investigation, which resulted in conclusions that led to the results that were published by the State Commission, that the failure of the previous Soyuz booster back on August 24th was the result of a clogging of the fuel lines to the third stage gas generator, which led to an increase in temperatures and a commanded shutdown of that third stage engine. Again, 5 minutes and 20 seconds after the launch, the Progress 44 was lost as the spacecraft went into a trajectory that resulted in a destructive entry into the Altair region of eastern Russia in a heavily forested area. Since then, a detailed inspection of all of the engines in the flow from the Voronej engine manufacturing company and RSC Energia, as they have worked feverishly to ensure that this was a one-time manufacturing defect that resulted in the loss of the Progress 44 back on August 24th. Today, we stand poised for the launch a little less than 9 minutes from now that would resume Soyuz booster launches to the International Space Station. A successful launch today, inserting the Progress 45 into its orbit, will begin a 3-day trek of the Progress 45 cargo ship to the International Space Station, and a docking that would be scheduled on Wednesday at 6:40 a.m. Central Time to the Piers docking compartment of the station. Today's launch also would pave the way for the departure of the Expedition 2930 crew from their training center at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, Russia, outside of Moscow. They are scheduled to depart Star City for Baikonur tomorrow, to begin 2 weeks of final pre-launch preparations. That would lead to their launch. This is the crew that is comprised of the oncoming Expedition 30 commander Dan Burbank of NASA, the Soyuz commander Anton Shkaplerov, and the flight engineer Anatoly Ivanishin, as they have wrapped up all of their training at Star City, ready to fly down to the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan tomorrow and begin their final 2 weeks of training and pre-launch preparations for their launch on their Soyuz TMA-22 spacecraft on the night of November 13th U.S. time, the morning of November 14th Baikonur time. The Burbank crew will arrive at the International Space Station on November 16th to begin an expedited 6-day handover from the off-going Expedition 29 crew led by Commander Mike Fossum, on orbit as we speak. Fossum on the left, joined by his Soyuz commander Sergei Volkov and Japanese flight engineer Satoshi Furukawa, who will be returning to Earth in their Soyuz TMA-02M spacecraft for a landing on the night of November 21st U.S. time, just before sunrise in Kazakhstan on the morning of November 22nd. On Friday at 7 a.m. Baikonur time, the Soyuz booster that you just saw on the launch pad began its several-mile trek on a railroad car to the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, meandering its way through the desert, as is the common rollout scenario for Soyuz boosters from Site 1. The Progress finally made its way a couple of hours later to the launch pad, where it was vertically erected completed and mated for all of its fuel lines, data lines, and electrical lines as the final 2 days of launch preparations began. The rollout of the 45 Progress vehicle and its Soyuz booster came 1 day before yesterday's undocking of the Progress 42 spacecraft that arrived several months ago at the International Space Station. The Progress, loaded with trash, undocked from the Pirs docking compartment at 4:04 a.m. Central Time on Saturday morning. It backed away to a safe distance from the International Space Station and 3 hours later fired its engines in its deorbit burn for its destructive re-entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, the surviving pieces landing harmlessly in the Pacific Ocean. The Progress 42's departure, clearing the Pirs docking compartment for the arrival of the 45 Progress vehicle on Wednesday, which will link up to that same docking port at Pirs. Again, the docking of the 45 Progress scheduled this coming Wednesday at 6:40 a.m. Central Time. We are now just 4.5 minutes away from the launch of the Soyuz booster and the Progress 45 spacecraft. If everything goes as planned, this vehicle will reach its preliminary orbit just under 9 minutes after liftoff, at which point, separating from its third stage, the Soyuz or the Progress vehicle's solar arrays and navigational antennas will be deployed to begin its automated rendezvous sequence en route to the International Space Station. There are 2 rendezvous burns of the Progress vehicle scheduled later today, another one on Tuesday to set the stage for the terminal rendezvous operations in the early morning hours on Wednesday. Just under 3 minutes and 45 seconds until launch. Just a few seconds from now, the combustion chamber nitrogen purge will be conducted of the first stage of the Soyuz booster. The gyros are in flight readiness. All flight recorders have been activated on the Soyuz vehicle. Mostly clear skies in Baikonur today. The temperature at launch time reported to be 39 degrees Fahrenheit. A 25-second launch window available for the Soyuz booster today. All recorders activated. Standing by for the booster propellant tanks to be pressurized. All of the pre-launch preparations have gone very smoothly. About 4 hours ago, the Russian State Commission convened at Baikonur, reviewed all of the elements for launch, and gave a go for the tanking of the Soyuz vehicle. Now we are just under 2 minutes until launch. One minute, 30 seconds until launch. Propellant tanks have been pressurized. The ground propellant feed has now been terminated to the vehicle. The Soyuz about to go on to internal power. And we should see that first umbilical tower falling back, separating from the side of the Soyuz booster. And that first umbilical tower now retracting, 33 seconds until launch. The commanding for the engine start sequence about to commence. The second umbilical tower now retracting, standing by for main engine start. Main engine start, engine turbo pumps at flight speed, and liftoff. Liftoff of the Soyuz booster and the Progress 45 resupply ship bound for the International Space Station. Pitch and roll program underway. "40 seconds into the flight, everything looking good. The Soyuz delivering about 100 tons of thrust from its 4 boosters and single engine. One minute into the flight, everything continues to look good. Going through the period of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle. 1 minute 10 seconds into the flight, the velocity now 1,100 miles per hour. One minute 30 seconds into the flight, all reports continue to be nominal. About 15 seconds away from the jettison of the 4 strap-on boosters. The strap-on boosters have now been jettisoned, and first stage separation. The Soyuz booster and 45 Progress now at an altitude of 28 statute miles, traveling some 3,350 miles an hour. Two minutes 30 seconds into the flight. Standing by for escape tower and launch shroud jettison. Launch shroud jettison now confirmed. Everything continues to operate normally with the Soyuz booster, delivering the 45 Progress resupply craft. Three minutes 15 seconds into the flight. The Soyuz booster traveling at a speed of more than 5,000 miles an hour. More than 400 miles downrange from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. 3.5 minutes into the flight. Everything continuing to perform normally. The second stage is performing as advertised. Coming up on the 4-minute mark into the flight, the second or core stage of the Soyuz, providing 96 tons of thrust. A view of the cavernous Russian International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside Moscow. Roll, pitch, and yaw of the vehicle reported to be by the book, right on the money. Coming up on the 4.5-minute mark into the flight. Four and a half minutes into the flight, mark halfway to its preliminary orbit for the Progress 45. Second stage separation is confirmed. The core stage engine has fulfilled its role for today. Coming up on the point where the 44 Progress vehicle was lost. However, everything going by the book today. 5.5 minutes into the flight, the third stage continues to function normally. Almost 6 minutes into the flight, the third stage providing 30 tons of thrust for its 4 minutes of operation. Flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center receiving reports from Baikonur that the roll, yaw, and pitch program of the third stage is nominal. All parameters are in good shape. This graphic basically shows the milestones of the Progress en route to orbit. We are now past the 6.5-minute mark into the flight. The third stage of the Soyuz booster is functioning normally. Poised to deliver the Progress 45 resupply craft to its preliminary orbit. The Progress contains 1,653 pounds of propellant, 110 pounds of oxygen, 926 pounds of water, 3,108 pounds of dry cargo that includes maintenance hardware, resupply items, life support system items, experiment hardware, for a total of 2.9 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the residents of the International Space Station. Coming up on the 7.5-minute mark into the flight, all reports continue to be nominal. Inside a minute until third stage shutdown and separation. Approaching the 8-minute mark into the flight. Everything is right down the money. The final seconds of third stage performance, roll, pitch, and yaw, all nominal. Standing by now for third stage shutdown. We now have third stage shutdown. The Soyuz booster has done its job for today. The Progress 45 has separated, standing by for confirmation of solar array deploy. And all of the antennas have now deployed. The solar arrays have deployed. The navigational antennas have deployed. Success for the Russian Federal Space Agency and RSC Energia as they work their way through the failure of the previous Soyuz booster back on August 24th. Did a careful analysis and inspection of the manufacturing techniques, the processing, and the engines involved in today's launch, which has proven to be successful. The Progress 45 now in its preliminary orbit en route to the International Space Station for a docking on Wednesday at 6:40 a.m. Central Time to the Piers docking compartment. Again, confirmation of a good deployment of the solar arrays and all the navigational antennas. The Progress will conduct 2 automated rendezvous burns later today, another one on Tuesday, to set the stage for the initiation of its final terminal rendezvous activities on Wednesday morning. Its close approach to the station